My name is Tony Gronowicz, and I'm running for mayor of New York City.
What motivated you to run for office?
Because someone has to step forward and represent the interests of the 99%, the interests of the public of this city, not the 1%. Wall Street is at a record high, homelessness is at a record high. The two go together. When Bloomberg came to office, he promised 180,000 affordable housing units. But what we see is the increase in homelessness to many, many tens of thousands. De Blasio, when he was city councilman, he's the prospective winner, said that he would support the Barclays Center redevelopment, Atlantic Yards, and that affordable housing would come with the Barclays Center. And that's why he approved it. And Bruce Ratner, who was so pleased that de Blasio approved the plan, threw him a 50th birthday party. De Blasio, that is. And so de Blasio's term as city council person ended in 2009. He became public advocate. No one has ever heard him advocate for affordable housing in the Barclays Center area, the Fort Greene neighborhood, which was scarred by this project. And the Barclays Center has been up for over a year, and it turns out that not one single unit of housing has been built. So I look at the record, not at the rhetoric. These guys are pathological liars, all of them, because they're in it for the money, they're not in it for the public. And New York City is my living room, my laboratory, my life. And I'm not going to have it insulted any further by the Democrats or the Republicans. But when we talk about environmental issues, let's look at Sandy. Sandy occurred on a Monday. A couple of days later, Bloomberg said, I want to have the marathon in New York. Bring in the tourists. De Blasio said, great idea, Mayor, until his advisors told him that he should not have it. And then, he said, bad idea, Mayor. He was clueless. These guys are not out in the neighborhoods. I've been in every neighborhood of the city, talking to the insurgencies in the city, the people who have been hurt by the economic policies, by the environmental policies, by the social policies of this administration. And Bloomberg instituted stop and frisk, less than 100,000 people when he came to office. It rose to 700,000. De Blasio said that he was going to end the emphasis on stop and frisk. He's not ending it. He's a trimmer. He speaks with untruths. But of course, this is to be expected. He was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager in 2000. So what can we expect? The situation in New York is more polarized than ever. The city polarization goes back to slave days. If you look at the Fiscal Policy Institute, James Parrott's studies and other people working for him, New York City has never seen the 1% have so much wealth as opposed to the 99%. So that's why I'm running for mayor, to rectify these policies. And we will finance it through not rebating the stock transfer tax, which existed on every transaction from 1905 to 1980. And that can raise $16 billion alone. Right now, since 1980, since Koch and Reagan and Mario Cuomo Sr., that tax is collected but then given back to Wall Street. So this has got to stop. The money is there. The offshore accounts that are actually taken to England and then brought back to this country and held in banks here. That's what Apple has $105 million in profits that's not paying a single penny of tax. I could go on and on and on, but we have a green team. We have citizens here who are running for office on the Green Party, and we are interested in fundamental change, not just cosmetic change. Thank you.
Do you think I could get a little bit... could you tell me a little bit about your background?
Well, I'm a native New Yorker, and I went to PS6, Trinity School, and Columbia College. And I majored in political history at the University of Pennsylvania. I went there because they gave me more money than Columbia to go there. And I did a PhD under Walter Licht, who is a labor historian who became provost of the college at the University of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I've written a book called Race and Class Politics in New York City Before the Civil War which is considered the best book on the subject by the late Roger Kennedy, who was the head of the finance at Smithsonian Foundation, as well as Stanley Gronowicz, distinguished professor of sociology in the City University of New York. And I also did a book editing the writings of Oswald Garrison Villard called The Dilemmas of the Absolute Pacifist in Two World Wars. And I have a U.S. history of 1/3 words that goes from Da Vinci and his war toys and Machiavelli and his statecraft, which is what these guys are following. Say one thing, do another. The ends justify the means, which is Machiavelli coined the phrase. And it goes all the way to Obama. Every child deserves a good education, a fine education, as I had, and a class size that Bloomberg's children had at Dalton School of 20. Okay, it's unconscionable what's going on, just talking about education. I went out to Wingate High School as part of the American History Social Project, and I went to an art class in the high school, and I said to the teacher, "You're doing wonderful work." And she said, "Oh yes, I have to go out and buy the materials. That's an international disgrace. It's awful. I would also stop and frisk, because it's a way to intimidate African and Latino youth. So that I have students who've been stopped and frisked. They have difficulty because of the trauma caused by Bloomberg's private army, as he refers to it, in stopping these children, throwing them against a car, searching them, and so on and so forth. The New York Times had a piece by one of our students on December 17th, 2011. After me, this particular young man was stopped 5 times and abused and taunted by the police. It happened to be, one of those times happened to be his birthday. And they said, "Oh, happy birthday," after they committed their physical assault on this student at the Borough of Manhattan Community College. I stand up for the students. That's why I'm elected year after year faculty advisor to student government at BMCC. So that's education. I would not close the hospitals, the public hospitals either. That's another disgrace. This mayor, this carpetbag mayor, he's on his way to London in January. I wouldn't do that. There are many things that have to be done: education, healthcare, environment, and of course I mentioned housing at the outset, and of course jobs. CUNY should divest from fossil fuels. I'm giving a talk, I'm the lead speaker on Friday at Hunter College from 7 till 9, where there's a big committee, not only at CUNY but also at NYU and Columbia, to get the city to divest from fossil fuels and introduce solar, wind, and wave. And that will create jobs. I've just got a report, which I've read in detail, put out by 5 research scientists, about New York State getting rid of getting rid of fossil fuels and instituting solar, wind, and wave. It can be done. It'll be cheaper for everyone, and it'll provide jobs. The statistics are there, the study is there, but the politicians of the two parties, the two dominant parties, the duopoly, as Ralph Nader calls it, continue to lie and promise things that they never deliver upon.
Thank you.
Thank you.